So welcome to my math channel. This is a preview video of how it's going to work for my math channel. Essentially, just to preface, I find math is very hard. And I don't find there's many good math teachers. And this is true in high school. This is true at the university level. They're just not very good. Now, normally people won't take university math, right? This is a high school level. The first class that I'm doing is basically algebra, high school algebra. But even at the university level, when you start getting into the high level math like calculus and forward with that, it gets extremely, the level of teaching drops even more, and the amount of help that you get from the teaching authorities drops even more. So often people who want to do careers in, I don't know, perhaps nursing. You don't need to know much math to do nursing. You might want to do a career as a mechanic. Well, you need high school math to do a mechanic. You might want to become a law enforcement officer, and now they're asking for good grades in high school math. A lot of things that don't really require math are requiring high math grades, and I feel that the material is not being well taught. So there's a few things, there's a few obstacles when you're being taught math. If you're not a math person, like I'm not very gifted at math, I would recommend, there's a few obstacles. One is that, well, the math teachers aren't good. Math teachers are inherently good at math, and they will go at the speed that they're used to. So they're gonna, like you're gonna see in class, eventually there's a few students that are going well and that are following, and the rest are being left behind, and the speed of the class will be dictated by those students. So you're going to be left behind. So you're going to see the exercises going on the chalkboard, and you're not going to follow, and you're going to say, well, I see some people following and I'm not following, so I must not be made for this. So if it's okay if I don't get a good grade, or if it's okay I fail. So that's one thing. That's one of the things. That's an obstacle I find for most people from doing well in math. The other thing that I've noticed in the recent years is the web work. So the way it works is you go to class, the teacher shows you how to do the work, and then sends you home, and they want you to do web work. Web work which does not show how to do the problem. There's no solutions to web work, right? So it's using a computer interface, which I find is not really fun. And you can spend an hour, 2 hours on a problem, and math teachers will call that the learning process. You see, the more you get stuck, the better math people feel. It's a weird thing. And it's not something that people who don't like math enjoy, right? We want things explained to each other. So the way these courses are going to work, I have two books. I have an online textbook which has the solutions, but which shows like the answers, but it doesn't show like the work. And I have like a book. I got the online textbook. There's no rights. It's open source. It's Creative Commons license 3.0. For those of you who know what that means, it just means that I can use it and you can use it, and it's free and it's online. It's there for everyone. At least the math teacher did that. They put something free online. And the other one is a rather cheapy book called The Humongous Book of Algebra Problems. I got permission to use this in the video, and I'll be using examples from this because I find sometimes they explain things pretty well. And I'm going to explain them even further. So the way I'm going to fix up the lectures is I'm going to do every single chapter in that textbook, literally every single chapter, and explain it. And then after that, I will go do each problem individually so you can see how it is solved. So that way, if you can get through that and you can get through the problems, I think you should be okay to pass the exam. Now, unfortunately, I can't take questions from you because I'm doing a video online. But I guarantee you things that you'll never hear from me is we learned this the last class, right? Math teachers assume that since they taught it, the students should have acquired it just like that. And of course, we don't get it, right? Especially if you get into like, listen, there's a bit of high-level math here. There's like quadratic equations, and there's it's complicated. And I don't think it's reasonable for somebody to get it all the first time. And after a week, you won't get it. But I think that a combination of your class plus my lectures plus just doing the problems with me. So for example, you'll be able to you'll be able to look at the problem, try it yourself. If you don't get it, you get the explainer. I'm going to explain it. And then after that, you can do all the problems like that, and then you can start over again and try it. All right, and try to get everything right. And once you get everything right, you know at least that material. You know those answers, and you'll be better equipped to do the stupid web work that your dumb teacher will assign to you. So I think this is a good way to learn math. I think this is the best way to learn math. Now, I'm not a math teacher. And just to give you an idea of like how this is, why I'm doing this, it's because when I was younger, I had a hard time with as a secondary for math. Well, this mathematics that I'm going to show you, I had a hard time, and I had pretty average teachers, and it wasn't explained to me like how I should study. Like you almost need a tutor when you're not good at math. So what happens is I passed, but I didn't really understand what I did. So what happens was when I went to university. What I did is I took a few math classes. So I retook high school math, and then I took college algebra, and I did okay. And I would never go to class. Okay, this is what I'm trying to impress upon you. University, you don't have to attend class. So I would never attend class because I used to go to class, and it would be some dude from I don't know where, I could barely understand, blitzing through the exercises on the board and kicking us out as fast as he could. And I remember like some teachers would assign books that had the answers but no solutions. So I remember for my college algebra class, I went to look at my pre-cal class, which was a very big thick book, and it had all the college algebra chapters in it, and I had to go look at that book to learn it. And I used to do security on the weekends, and I used to like do my math, do my homework on the weekends. I would never go to class. All I did was I show up for the final exam, and because the way they weighted it is it was either your exams during the year or an average of your exams during the year and the final exam, or just the final exam, or maybe not quite like that. But if you just did the final exam, they would take that grade because it was considered the harder exam. And I would just go show up to the harder exam. The teacher didn't see me. I would have to give like my student ID because he had never seen me all semester, and I did okay. And so I think in one sense I'm doing it because I feel that math teachers, for people who are not into math, are inherently useless. And I feel that if I can put their material on YouTube, well then you won't need them. You won't need them to pass the class. So in Quebec, Canada, this is Math 436 that I'm teaching. I think it's still called Math 436. I checked online, it's called Math 436. So we look at quadratic equations and all that stuff, and factoring and all that stuff. That's the hardest stuff. And then we'll look at simple graphs and all that. And what I will do is post it in 50, like the main lecture, if I can get it in 15 minutes will be fine. And this is not meant to replace your math course, although I have a sneaky suspicion that if you just do my math and you show up to the final exam, now if you're in high school, you can't really do that. So you should follow it over the course of the year. However, if you're at a higher level education and you're just taking math as an option and you're starting here, well then it's going to be a great foundation for doing eventually pre-calculus, which is functions and trigonometry. And functions and trigonometry are, I would have to say, like the gateway to hell, right? This is preparing you to enter hell. And then when you get into calculus, it's the end of the world. I will tell you that I did calculus 3 times. I passed it the 3rd time with a D-. So that's where I'm coming from. But I would look at it another way. Some people would say I'm supremely unqualified. And if you're good at math, you should be watching another channel. But the fact that I don't know math very well means I know where the hiccups are. And I guarantee you a minimum amount of occasions where you'll be staring at a screen aimlessly, not understanding what I'm saying. I'm going to explain it as simple as possible. So I am doing this on my best math channels. You can look at the playlist. I'll make playlists so that things are like more or less well organized. And I hope you enjoy it. And I hope what it results for you is perhaps managing your life better, because you need math to manage. You need high school math to manage things in your life, to understand like interest rates when you're going out to, like for example, lease or buy a car. to understand things like your basic finances. I mean, you're just going to be so much more well equipped to do those basic tasks in life. That's what I think. That's what math helped me. And also by studying math, I wasn't interested in math. I just gave myself a challenge to study math. It helped me with investments and accounting. I got a job as a taxation specialist because I had this basic math. I was able to do accounting after very well. So it opened doors that way. And I think more and more, I think just having math, I mean, if you're just doing a simple job like you're working in a restaurant, in the kitchen, for example, and you're making, I don't know, $12, $13, $14 an hour. But by knowing math, you'll be able to understand a little bit more like the inventory a bit better. And you might become an assistant manager. You might get more money, more experience, more etc. So I want you to look at it that way. And also you may end up really liking it and end up maybe becoming a math, doing a field that has math in it. So for example, if you're going to do any of the sciences, the language of the sciences is math. I mean, if you're going to do well in physics, you're going to have to know your math. If you're going to do well in chemistry, you're going to have to know your math. If you're going to do well in engineering, you're going to have to know your math. You're going to become a better economist if you know your math than those who just squeak by the Cal 1 to figure out derivatives, which is something you'll learn if you ever decide to do that. So this is the show. This is the math course, and I'm going to be posting those online intermittently whenever I have time. All right? That's it.